She was on the brink of tears in studio yesterday until Kristen walked over and gave her a big old hug. But man, I thought it was going to be a rough half an hour in here.
It's tough being a working mom. My daughter said her first sentence yesterday. She's been saying little words and not really putting them together. She'll just be like, I food, or I tall if she's standing up or if she wants food. But my husband texted me and told me that when she got up yesterday and he went to get her, the sentence she said was, she said her first sentence, and I was like, what is it? And he goes, I want mama.
And she's mean.
It just crushed me.
So people need to know the history here of you coming back in studio and being so incredibly passionate about making sure that you've been with her and keeping her safe in what I've coined unprecedented times.
Yeah. So I'm high risk for multiple reasons. My husband's high risk for coronavirus. So during the pandemic, and my daughter, of course, is unvaccinated. So we stayed home. We didn't go anywhere. We were privileged enough to be able to order groceries or order out food or whatever we needed. So we literally, unless it was a medical facility for an appointment we had to have or an emergency, we did not go anywhere.
Your house was on lockdown.
Yes, we didn't even go to parks. I would go for walks around the neighborhood if there was no one out, but we avoided people like the plague.
You guys remember that show Prison Break? That's how it's been for Hazel for the last...
Little Michael Schofield.
Yeah, since last March. Yeah.
We would go on drives. She saw the world and we played. But, she had, and my husband lost his job because of the pandemic and budget cuts. So he launched a business, but also became a stay-at-home dad. So she's had both parents at home for well over a year. And she's only, I think there were 2 months in between her being born and me going back to work or whatever, that she had daycare. So literally her entire life, she's had both parents around. And then in the mornings, I'd work in the basement, but during breaks, I could go up and say hello or good morning to her or give her some water or whatever, check in on her at breakfast time. So she saw me throughout the morning. So this past Monday was the first time that she had, almost in her entire life, that she hadn't seen me until the afternoon. So when she woke up, she said, I want mama. And then, and that was yesterday. So she's had a couple days. And then Chad also said she's standing at the window, just pointing out to where my car should be, saying, mama car.
Why would he tell you that?
Because he's
not
a
even
dumb
necessary.
dude.
No, don't do that, dudes. Don't do that.
But it's a double-edged sword because it breaks your heart, but at the same time, you're like, she loves me.
I know.
She wants me.
Which is great, which is really nice. However, telling you what she said was one thing, but having to paint the picture of her looking outside like, Mommy's never coming back. Because you're going through all these emotions your first and second day back at work anyway, probably, right? Maybe feeling guilty, but excited, but also missing your child. And you're probably, I'm guessing, tell me if I'm wrong here, at some point you're like, you know what, it's just a couple hours a day. Will she even know I'm gone? And then the first sentence is, where's mom?
Yeah.
That's jacked.
And there is guilt because I was excited to come back because it's so hard when you're working at home with a kid like that who's so young to separate the two out because you're always like, my kid's upstairs. She needs something. It's okay. Chad's got it. My husband's got it. But you're always feeling torn in both directions. But when you can separate the two places out, it's easy to be at work and focus on work and then go home and switch over to home life. But so there's guilt there because I'm excited to get back to the structure and the routine and being out in the world. And then there's guilt that she's asking for me. And then if I'm being honest, though, if she had said, her first sentence was, I love you, Daddy, or had said, I want Daddy to me, I would have been even more crushed.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Is there an inside battle between parenting when that happens, like that you just hope those first words are you and not?
Already.
Yes.
Jimmy can't even talk. He's barely even babbling. And I'm like, you better say mom.
Yeah, there it is. In your house, it might have been verbal, but in my house, it was like an unsaid competition. But I was training him. I'm like, Daddy, when Stacy wasn't around. And she was probably doing the same thing. And I think we both lost because I think it was cat. And we didn't even have a cat. So
I love it. So, yeah, it's just, and Kristen, you're going through all this right now, wrestling the guilt and just being away. But I don't know if I'm sure you're glad to be back.
No,
but
I'm not.
You're not.
you were the
I
first
love you guys.
I
love you guys, but there wasn't, I was excited. There was a level of excitement and nervousness. But there was just so many conflicting emotions because we had been, my entire IVF, pregnancy, maternity leave had all been during a pandemic.
Right.
So this is uncharted territory. This is completely new. So coming back to the studio on top of coming back from maternity leave, it was just, it was too much. It was, like I said, sensory overload to say the least.
Well, I think that you had like buyer's remorse when I came back into the studio, Kristen, because when I visited you, you're like, if there's any question that I'm coming back, yes, because you were exhausted. Yes, I'm coming back. And then I think you spent 2 days here and you're like, well, that's not nearly as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Well, also, you were there in the heyday of like, we weren't getting any validation from Jimmy yet. So, like, the fact that Hazel can talk and she's interactive. Now, Jimmy's smiling and cooing and he recognizes faces and like he sees mama and he's happy. Then I wasn't getting nothing from that kid. So I'm like, screw you. I'm ready to go back to work.
Well, you were almost on the brink of tears yesterday, man.
I did start tearing up, which is, I've tried to keep it under lockdown because I know I'm going to miss, like, just it's by virtue, any working parent, you're going to miss stuff. I'm already like psyched myself up. I'm going to miss her first steps. I know it. I just know it. It's going to happen. And that's okay. But that one took me by surprise because I was not expecting that to be a thing. I just thought her first word would be like, she loves food. I'm hungry. Or I want a puppy. Like, she likes puppies. I didn't expect her to love me so much.
Dang it.
I'm so surprised she likes me.
You're doing stuff right, Cass.
Yeah, feeding her. That's why she loves me.
100%.
The Bert Show.